Welcome back guys to your Android app development tutorial in the Make Your App tutorials. We were about to design our relative layout. So let's quickly jump onto the Eclipse and start our designing. Now here in the front page.xml we were having a button and we learned lots of attributes of the relative layout. It's time to design our layout for the front page.xml, and in the front page we were having 4 buttons. This is our first button. So just double click on it. Change the text to simple questions. Now in the relative layout, whenever you drag and drop a button, then at that moment only change the ID of that button. So let's write B simple question. Now this text, it is not recommended that you write the text directly here. You can see a warning sign at the left hand side. It shows hard coded string button should use @string resource. So we should always use @string and assign an ID. Let's say simple question. Fine. Now go to your string, go to your values folder. Here you can find the string.xml. Just double click on it. Go to the code section. Here you can see that 3 strings are already stored in the string.xml. The first is the app name, this is the ID, and this is our app name, Android interview, similarly hello world, action settings, etc, etc. Now let's do one thing. Let's type string, control space, give it a name. Now in the front page.xml we had given the @string/sq, so we have already assigned the ID. So we just have to mention the name as sq and the string as simple questions. Fine. Now save it. Now check it again. In the graphical layout, you can see it is showing simple questions in the first button. Fine. Now let us drag and drop another button here. Just below it, in the right hand side, you can see how our layout is going to look. Now again double click on it. Change the ID as B tough question. Then text @string/tough questions. Fine. Go to string.xml. Again add it. Name TQ text. This is the recommended approach that you should always follow while making a professional application. Fine. Now let's write our third button. Again double click on it. Change the ID. B see other apps. Fine. Provide the text. See other. Again go to strings.xml. Save it. Again go back to graphical layout. You can see our 3 buttons are ready. Now our last button just below it. Again change the ID. Now it is always recommended you change the ID as soon as you drag your button. It is the recommended approach. Now again text @string/rate app. Fine. Go to string.xml again. st rate app. Now again save it. Go to the front page XML. You can check out our 4 buttons are ready, but the width of the button is actually wrap content. So we have to change the width of each button so that they look uniform one below the other. So at the right hand side of the screen you can check out the text size and the layout width, which is 200 dp, and the text size is 40 sp, and the layout height is not wrap content, it is actually 40 dp. So let us now change the attribute. Let's say 200 dp. I'm using dp guys, as I told you earlier, and next 2 tutorials I'm going to explain why I'm using dp, and for the text size why I am using sp 20 sp. Right now check out the graphical layout. Our simple question is having a width of 200 dp and height of 40 dp, and the text size is actually 20 sp. Fine. So we got to apply all these attributes in rest of the buttons too. So let's do one thing. Copy these codes and replace all the width and height attribute with that for all the buttons. Fine. Oops guys, I just forgot to change the ID of the last button. So this is actually our B rate app. Now guys, why I told you to change the ID of this button as soon as you drag and drop your button, this is because now here at the later point I have changed the ID of button 1 to be rate app. Now check out this widget. Now here you can see layout align left of @ +id button 1. So here I have changed the ID of this button. This attribute is showing align yourself to the button having the ID of button 1, but no buttons in our layout is having the ID of button 1. So it is always recommended, that's why I told you, as soon as you drag and drop your button, at that time only change the ID of your button. Now just replace it. Now please check the other attributes. We are all now good to go. Now here you can see this attribute layout below @+id. Now here we have to remove this plus sign because here we are not assigning any new ID to any button. We are just referring to the ID BSQ. Fine. In other case also remove this plus sign. Here also plus sign remove. Again, now we are good to go. Now you can see our buttons are quite uniform and it is aligned one below the other at the center horizontal axis. Now we have to add the graphics to it because it is looking quite simple. Now before adding the graphics we have to proceed for the one more step. Now if you check out this list, it is showing Nexus 1. If you drop down the list you can see generic and Google. Two options are here. Fine. Now if you go to generic, here it is showing 3.7 inch 480 into 800 HDPI. So at present you are designing the application for 3.7 inch Nexus 1. Now let us do one thing. Go to generic and just select this 5.1 inch 480 into 800 MDPI. Just select it. Now in the 5.1 inch screen it is looking quite odd. Your buttons, the 200 dp that you selected is looking very smaller and the space below it is looking quite odd. So we have to design our application so that it is compatible with all the screens, both in the portrait mode and also in the landscape mode. Now let's do one thing again. Go to generic, go to 3.7 inch. Now the layout is looking quite smooth. Now let's do one thing. Here in this section you can see go to next state. It is showing now presently you are designing your app in the portrait mode. Now let's select this landscape mode. Now in the landscape mode you can see your app is looking quite odd. Now if the user rotates the screen, then he will be able to only see two buttons, simple questions and tough questions, and below these buttons the two buttons are not visible to the user. So user will probably delete your application because he won't like such dorky apps. So we will talk about multiple screen densities, how to make your application compatible with all the API versions and also with multiple screens in the next tutorial. So stay tuned guys, catch you guys in next tutorial. This is Sriyank from Smartherd signing off, and please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below my video. Thank you and have a good day.